I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Oki, dada nestada, ambawastich, tanse, and good afternoon, everyone. With the final pieces of pipe arriving from San Diego, crews in our classy city are hard at work to get the last parts of the water feeder main fixed as quickly as possible. All 5 hotspots have now been excavated, and cutting of existing pipe has begun. There are 3 hotspots where we had existing parts in supply, and now that the 2 additional pieces have arrived from down south, those 2 remaining pieces are being sandblasted and coated with epoxy at a local shop before they're able to be lifted into the ground. Many other parts that we needed to couple the new pipes to the existing ones are also being fabricated locally. And while we are sourcing parts from anywhere that we have available to us, all of the repair work that I have mentioned is being done by local City of Calgary workers and crews of contractors. This really has been an all-hands-on-deck approach, and I want to thank everyone for their tireless work in trying to get the water flow back up to normal. And good news on the usage front. Yesterday, we held the line on water use for the 4th straight day. At 445 million liters of water consumed, that's a quarter less than what we typically use at this time of year, which is right on target. You're really getting into the swing of things. You're making big changes and small changes that we need to save water. And you've definitely shown a lot of ingenuity in doing this. Yesterday on the news, I watched a homeowner use a kayak to collect rainwater. And that's the kind of maverick thinking that really has put Calgary on the map for being a place where we band together to get through emergencies. We've also worked out a way to get the construction industry access to non-potable water, so not treated water, so they can continue building much-needed homes while not putting any added stress on the city's water supply. And Colby will have some more details on that. Since the start of this water crisis 2 weeks ago, we've saved over 600 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water compared to our typical usage. And that's a gold medal effort that we owe to all of you. We've also got some positive news about the 2 workers who were injured last week during the course of repair on the initial break. Both of them are out of hospital now, and while the contractor is being overseen by his doctor, our city employee has returned to work. And on behalf of all Calgarians, I would like to thank both of those individuals for their efforts, and we wish them well in their recovery. Even with the updates we're providing, I know that many of you are still wondering about timelines. As the repair work proceeds, each stage tells us a little bit more about how smoothly things will go. After excavation, we'll know more about the hotspots and our ability to access them. And once the cutting and replacing of pipe begins, we'll know more about whether the proposed fix is going to be as straightforward as we thought. And once repairs are done and we start the process of backfilling, we will also be able to restore road networks. And remember, we also had to reroute some of the water supply by moving pumps and changing direction to give us capacity during this emergency. Those changes that we had made will need to be reset to regular. Crews will be out doing that work. And as we learn more about the timing it will take to flush the pipes, the timing it will take to test the water and restart the flow of water, we will keep you updated every step of the way. We need to be cautious about how quickly we bring this feeder main back online to prevent any further complications. And we need to be cautious about how quickly we lift restrictions on water usage to make sure that we are easing back slowly into full capacity. It will be a staged approach before we return to normal. And like any other return to work process, it will involve different stages along the way, and we'll make sure that we keep you up to date on what that means for timing. I'll now turn things over to you, Deputy Chief Kobe Dewar from the Calgary Emergency Management Agency.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, and I want to begin by thanking Calgarians for everything they have done to limit water usage. We met our daily target, consuming 445 million liters of water for yesterday, June 18. We're heading into a stretch of warm weather in the coming days, and this will be our first test of summer-like weather while under water restrictions. As Mayor Gondek mentioned, it sounds like we may have some positive news on the repair timelines, and we'll wait to hear from General Manager Michael Thompson on that. We are so pleased to see Calgarians rallying around our call to reduce water use. As you have heard in earlier updates, the Glenmore Water Treatment Plant is working extra hard. We are relying on the Elbow River for more water than we normally would. That is why we are counting on Calgarians to continue to reduce their water usage by 25% to make sure we have enough water to meet the essential needs until the repairs are complete. Here are some additional tips to continue to reduce water use at home. Reduce the number of laundry loads you do each week and switch the appliance setting to an eco setting if you have one. Turn off your water softener. This can save approximately 200 liters every time it cycles. If you don't have a low-flow toilet, you can further reduce the amount of water for each flush by placing something in the toilet tank to displace the water, like a brick or a pop bottle full of water. Reduce the time of your shower to 3 minutes or less and turn off the water when lathering with soap or shampoo. City operations are not immune to the water restrictions either. As you've likely heard, we have had to close pools, cancel swimming lessons, pause street sweeping, and delay other city programming because of the water restrictions. We are also doing our part to recycle water wherever we can. Recreation has closed a number of pools to conserve water, and during that time, they're doing some much-needed maintenance. In the coming days, city crews will be taking dechlorinated water from pools and reusing that for washing bridges and bridge decks and in certain construction applications. Related, the City of Calgary is working closely with Calgary construction industry to open 2 locations over the next days on the Bow River to provide non-potable water for construction work. This water will be free of charge and will be the responsibility of the end user to ensure that the water is appropriate for its intended application. We want to thank the provincial government for expediting the permits needed to help move this program forward quickly. We will have more firm details, including locations and timing, in the days coming. I want to address reports of our crews being harassed, called names, and filmed and photographed while out doing critical repair work. This behavior is not okay. We have heard this happening when crews are performing necessary procedures where they must flush water from pipes. This may appear to be wasteful use of water that might evoke an emotional response, but let me explain what is actually happening. While the city has prioritized reducing our water usage, we must continue practices that are necessary to meet regulatory standards for water quality, public health and safety, and to maintain our water distribution system. Flushing occurs for many reasons, such as restoring water service following a main break, repairs, or water quality investigations. Crews are doing their best to ensure that they use as little water as necessary to complete this important work. Harassing city staff who are doing critical repair or regulatory work to ensure all Calgarians have access to clean, safe drinking water will not be tolerated. If you have a question or concern about something you're seeing, I'd ask you to call 311 rather than approach staff or making negative assumptions. We have also received some questions from Calgarians about those experiencing homelessness and other vulnerabilities. We have been regularly checking in with our emergency shelters and social agency partners throughout Calgary. I am pleased to report that they are all doing well. In fact, we have heard anecdotally from one of our shelters that they've reduced their consumption by 40%. They are handing out bottled water instead of using tap, using compostable dishes, and encouraging their clients to limit shower time. It is important to recognize that while social agencies are doing their part, they are still very much open and supporting Calgary's unhoused population. We can't thank all Calgarians, including those experiencing vulnerabilities, for all you have done to continue to do. Lastly, before I move on to daily status updates from 301 and bylaw, We've heard some feedback from some of our service providers on working from home. We recognize that not all persons are able to work from home, especially frontline service workers, and we want you to know that we value your efforts and contributions. Thank you for all that you are doing. From a bylaw perspective, officers have had 2,120 calls since June 6th. There have been 574 written warnings issued, 723 verbal warnings, 3 violation tickets have been issued to corporations. We have had a total of 131 calls for service for the fire ban, 12 are pending investigation, 15 written warnings have been issued, 59 verbal warnings have been issued, and 4 violation tickets have been issued. The total number of calls related to the water event at our 311 system is 7,246. Please continue to do your part to reduce water consumption. Make every drop count. I'd like to bring up GM Michael Thompson to give us an update on the work sites.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you may have heard, the 2 sections of feeder main pipe we sourced from the San Diego Water Authority have arrived at the fabrication shop and are being prepared for install before we transport them to site. Preparation work includes sandblasting and then applying the epoxy coating. We sourced this pipe from the San Diego Water Authority as they are part of the existing municipal network that we use to share critical water infrastructure parts. The arrival of the pipe fits into our repair schedule, and we are happy that it is now being prepared. This quick transportation would not have been possible without the support of multiple levels of government that our emergency management team has been in direct contact with. We are aware there has been some conversation online regarding a similar pipe that may be available closer to home. The pipe from San Diego met all of the technical specifications for a water pipe. There are many different technical specifications for pipe, and we need to ensure we use the specific pipe for our water system safety. Repair of the 5 hotspots is advancing quickly as work is continuing 24/7 at the 2 sites on 16th Avenue Northwest. The photo we are sharing with you now was taken yesterday evening, and you can see the excavation that was happening. I was out there this morning, and all of the pipes are now exposed. Crews completed that excavation work overnight with all 5 hotspots, and they confirmed the precise locations of the pipe sections that require repair. Today, crews are proceeding with cutting the existing damaged pipe and readying it for removal. We continue to look for ways to complete the repair as quick as possible while keeping safety top of mind. As I shared previously, we committed to providing Calgarians an updated timeline by the end of the week. As we look at the work completed to date, specifically the excavations and exposing the 5 sections of pipe, we can now share we are aiming for the low end of our original timeline of 3 to 5 weeks, which would be July the 5th. There are still many risks ahead, but every day we work through this complex repair, we become more confident in our timeline. As you can see from our schedule, completion of the repair of the pipe is just one step in removing indoor water restrictions. Following the completion of the repair, we need to flush the feeder main pipe and then test it. This ensures the safety of the drinking water system for our community. We are working on a plan to restore water service and will provide those details in the near future. Until we complete the repairs and restore water services to normal, we want to thank Calgarians for continuing to support the current restrictions. The team continues to visit with and provide updates to the businesses and residents impacted by construction. We remain committed to keeping you informed as we progress with repairing the feeder main. Our team and the contractors appreciate your support, cooperation, and understanding as we continue to execute these repairs as quickly and safely as possible. Crews have been intentionally supporting local businesses by purchasing meals from restaurants in the area and doing what they can to help. Thank you to the entire community for continuing to show support to our team and each other. This is a true demonstration of community resilience. And I'll now turn it over to Mayor Gondek.
Thanks for that update, Michael. And I know a lot of people were waiting to hear if there was a new timeline. I've also heard a lot of questions about whether we have redundancy in Calgary's water system. And in light of the feeder main break, I think it's important for us to consider how we look at redundancy. Think about it this way. If we didn't have redundancy in this system, we wouldn't have water running to all of our homes right now. So with a 2-meter wide water feeder main out of service and we continue to have water coming to our homes, there is redundancy in place. That redundancy is through the Glenmore treatment plant. That's been running at capacity for the last couple of weeks, and it's been an absolutely vital part of the city's water redundancy system. This plant, combined with rerouted flows of water, allowed us to continue serving Calgarians, the folks at Tsuut'ina Nation, Airdrie, Strathmore, and Chestermere. That system redundancy is why, while crews are working around the clock on repairs, all of us have been able to have water coming to our homes. But we have to continue to be smart about our use of water and to make sure that emergency users like hospitals and firefighters have access to water supply. And also to make sure you and your neighbors have water running to your taps. I also want to talk about why the last pieces of pipe that we needed came from California rather than being sourced locally. There were 5 pieces that were needed in total to do these repairs, and 3 of them were available here. We had those pieces in stock. When we focused on finding local options for the other 2, we knew that if we could find something locally, the delivery time would be so much faster by going to one of our neighbors. Unfortunately, the issue is the size of the pipe that we need. This is not the type of pipe that is regularly used in oil and gas operations, and it's typically organizations like those that provide safe drinking water to residents in other areas that would have this type of pipe on hand. And that's why San Diego County became such an important partner. They had this piece on hand. And while we would have welcomed the opportunity to custom make something in our own province, it simply would have taken too much time. And our goal right now is to get your water turned back on. That requires looking at safe and speedy options for the repair work. Until then, we all need to keep our water usage down. And you need to keep doing the things you've been doing, like having a Navy shower, doing only full loads in the dishwasher or the washing machine, and selectively flushing the toilet. All of you know what to do, and you have been doing it. And for that reason, you are all great people. So you will see us again tomorrow. I'll be on the live stream tomorrow morning at 8:30, and we'll be back here at 2 p.m. tomorrow at the Emergency Operations Center. With that, I will pass it over to Jose to take questions from the media.
Yeah, hi, Mayor. Yesterday we heard from officials that the costs of this have been very closely tracked since this emergency started. What is the estimated ballpark for how much has been spent so far? Are we talking 5 million, 50 million, and have any asks been put to the provincial or federal governments to help offset some of those costs?
I'd love to be able to give you a figure, but the fact of the matter is that everything is moving so quickly and there are so many moving parts to this. So to provide an estimate at this stage is difficult to do, but I know the teams are keeping track of things, and when we can release some information to you about cost, we certainly will. And I can tell you that I've been in regular conversation with the provincial government on what we are doing and what our needs are, and the Prime Minister checked in with us on the weekend as well. So as we need assistance, we will continue to ask for it.
And how about just a timeline on how long does that sandblasting and epoxy typically take? I understand obviously some of the pipes have been done. Is it something that takes a couple of days? Does it take a week or 2, or how long?
I'm going to get GM Thompson to come up, but from what I understand, it's a few days.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So typically that would take 2 to 3 days. We're working with our vendor to try and do that as quick as possible. They're working 24/7 in their shop to get that completed as soon as possible to get that material out to site.
It's been 2 weeks since the break. I'm wondering if the city has determined how many kilometers of pipe have similar attributes to the pipeline that broke.
Yeah, thanks for the question. We have over 5,000 kilometers of water pipe across the city. 98% of our water system is in good or very good condition.
How many of those kilometers have the similar engineering attributes, the wire, the pre-stressed wire in the encased concrete?
I don't have that number on me specifically, but I can get that number.
On cost, do you guys have, is any of this insurable?
So we are working with our risk and insurance department right now to find out what that looks like from an insurance capacity. We do not have that information right now. We're still in the early stages of this incident. I know it's 2 weeks and that seems like a long time, but it's not. We're really, our eyes are fully focused on the repair work that's going on right now.
Mac Bicker with Global. On the river water use for construction or industrial purposes, what's kind of the vision there, or what are you guys hoping to see here with those two locations? I know details are still to come, but yeah, what ideally would that look like, and what type of operations would that supply?
So we're hoping to support the construction industry and making sure that we can get back to the essential building that we need to be doing right now to be able to support the housing developments. And so we're working with that construction industry to find out how much water that they're going to be using. It is going to be a pull-through methodology where you pull through, get your water, and off you go again. It will be non-potable. It will be from the river, and we do have the appropriate permits to do that.
And on the, I heard we heard street cleaning as well. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, he does.
Please.
I was just going to say, so that water is essential for compaction of the materials required to build those communities. And so that's what we'll be using it for, and the industry will be using it for, to ensure that we're keeping that community construction going throughout the summer.
I know we heard yesterday from council, I believe one question period was about the street cleaning operations as well. That's been delayed. The use of potentially river water as well for that. Is there any update on that side of the operations when it comes to getting maybe those city services back online with non-potable water?
So we are using some ingenuitive methods. We're using some of the water that we mentioned out of the pools to support some of the bridge work that we're doing. The street sweeping program is still paused at this time, but we are looking at options for that as well.
Saeed, City News.
The two locations that you mentioned at Bow River for the construction workers, that non-potable water, are there any details of the exact locations, when they'll be able to access it, and how you're going to make it happen?
I don't have those details right now. The plan is we're accelerating the plan as fast as we possibly can. I will have details for you shortly. Coming days.
Hello?
No.
Colleen?
Hey, I just wanted to ask, there's been a lot of talk about how the pipe burst, the wire snapping and whatnot, and the soil conditions. Are you able to comment on exactly what might have happened?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Right now, we're really focused on repairing the break. As you heard yesterday, we'll be doing a third-party review. During that review, we'll look into all the causes for this incident. Don't have it right now. That will be part of the review.
Also, just on the timeline, I know originally it was like 3 to 5 weeks. So maybe just why are we able to get closer to 3 weeks, and what would it have been to be at the 5 weeks? Can you just walk us through?
Yeah, so every day that we work through this repair, we get more confident in the timeline. We've exposed all of the pipe. The 5 sections were exposed last night, so now we know what we're dealing with as we look at those 5 sections. We've got all of the pipe in the area, and we're preparing that for installation, so we're much more confident. As we go through and cut the pipe, remove it, again, we become much more confident in our timeline, and we're constantly trying to accelerate that as we work forward. When you're working underground and you're opening things up, there's always a probability that you're going to find things unexpected. So as we move forward and we get more of the schedule in our control, we're more comfortable and confident in accelerating and achieving these timelines.
So is July 5th the earliest it could be at this point in time, but it could be earlier?
We are working every day to accelerate as quickly as we can. As we learn more throughout this week, we'll come back next week with an update on the timeline.
Yeah, sorry, can I just clarify the river water that will be available for industry? You mentioned some construction companies, stuff like that. What about, say, other different companies like pressure washing companies? What will be the parameters for which industry, which businesses will be allowed to apply to pick up that water?
Great question. I don't have that detail for you right now. We are looking at all the options of what that looks like, and we're finding out exactly how much the construction industry needs in the sense of what GM Michael Thompson was talking about, and we'll figure out what that looks like from there.
And just to control people's imaginations, trucks will not be pulling down to the river and sucking it out, will they?
No, that
Exactly. We will have.
this will all be done through a process, and it will all be done properly, you bet, with the appropriate permits from the provincial governments.
We'll take a couple more questions. Mr. McVicker and then Carrie.
When it comes to the line itself, that full feeder main line from the Bearspaw treatment plant, we know we have 4.5 kilometers inspected. There's still a lot of pipe there that it sounds like has not been inspected. How confident are we in the capacity and condition of that remaining section of pipe that maybe hasn't been looked at by that robot inspection?
Our focus right now is on repairing the 5 hotspots that we've identified. Once we've got the line back in service, we'll be looking at an inspection plan for the entire pipe.
Very last question.
Our dear friend, excuse me, our dear friends in San Diego have similar pipelines, and they started rehabbing these pipelines years ago, recognizing the problems with the coil and the pre-stressed wire. I'm wondering if Calgary was aware of those similar problems and how they were addressing them.
As we said yesterday during our discussion with council, we were aware of the pipe and issues around. This pipe is used across North America in many municipalities, and so not all of these pipe sections are failing. We now are learning more about our pipe, and our review will help to inform our asset management plan as we go forward.
With that, we'll turn it to the mayor to close.
I just want to reiterate my thanks to everyone who's exercising water-saving measures, including businesses. I know a lot of you have decided to either shut down anything that involves a lot of water usage, like grooming of pets or car washes. Many of you in food establishments have started asking people if they would like a glass of water instead of leaving a jug on the table, and all of those things matter. All of the measures you're taking at home as individuals are also very important, and this is a really good demonstration of what we can do when we understand that there is a common goal, and the common goal is to make sure that the Bearspaw treatment facility can start flowing water into this feeder main and make sure that we have that regularity of water service. So thank you, everybody. It can't be stressed enough. We couldn't do it without all of you, and we appreciate you for it.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks.
When you said you were other risks, was that relevant to the question about insurance for the kilometers?
No, it was insurance.
That was the insurance.